Welcome to the podcast Behind the Counter with your host, me, Heidi Blum, also known as the Food Czar. I was born and bred in Livingston, New Jersey, and I have seen firsthand over the past few years how food and the people behind the counter can bring a community together. We all have a story. We all have an appetite. Each episode will explore the thread between food, people, and community, and the stories that weave them all together. So let's get behind the counter and dig in. Here we go.
This is Behind the Counter.
Behind the Counter.
With the Food Czar. Here's Heidi.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Counter with the Food Czar, the 2024 first episode, so that's exciting. And we are here with an amazing guest, and the timing couldn't be more perfect.
That's right.
I'm sitting here with Livingston's very own Dave Turano of Turano's Pizzeria and Kitchen. Is that what we call it?
That's right. Turano's Pizza Kitchen, yes.
Pizza Kitchen. Mm-hmm. So Dave Turano, 5 years in this community.
Yes.
Welcome.
Amazing. Yep.
Apparently this is your first podcast.
It is.
Well, I'm so glad that I am the recipient of you being a newbie. So we're just going to have a great conversation, and I'm excited for everyone that's listening to get to know the man. So 5 years in Livingston.
Yeah.
I think what I would like to know is when Dave Turano was little Dave Turano. Tell me about that. What led you to where we are now?
So believe it or not, a lot of people think that my family was in the business, but they weren't. My father came here as an immigrant. He went to go work in a sweatshop.
From where was he from?
From Calabria, Italy. My mom also came from Italy. She's from Sicily, and she worked at the same factory that my father was in. That's where they met. They fell in love. They got married. And eventually my dad opened up his own factory. There was no family history here. I started when I was a freshman in high school. I had a friend that worked in a local pizzeria, and they needed some help. So he just asked me, hey, would you want to come work tonight? Give us a hand. I said, sure, I'm not doing anything. And I took a liking to it. They hired me, and I worked there. I was a freshman in high school till I was about 19, 20 years old. And then from there, I opened up my first, it was like a luncheonette, like an Italian deli luncheonette. I was 21. That lasted about 6 months before I failed and shut it down.
Big dreams. Yeah, it's a hard business.
From there, I went to go work at a few more restaurants. I wanted to learn more. I felt like I needed to learn more. I worked at a lot of restaurants, a lot of pizzerias, and I picked up ideas from every single one. And then I was ready to open a new place. And, I was like 25, 26 years old. And my friends would come and visit me where I was at every Friday, Saturday night. They'd come in, I'd have a long table set. They're all there with their girlfriends, their wives, whatever. And then, around 10, 11 o'clock, they'd all leave. And I'm stuck there.
Cleaning up.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this.
Yeah.
So then I changed my mind again. And believe it or not, I opened up a tanning salon. And I had
This is in the 90s?
Yeah.
Very 90s of you, Dave.
It was the right time, the right spot. It was, everything was just right about it. My father was still young, and then he eventually shut down his factory. And he said, listen, he's like, you're doing well here. He's like, why don't we open up another tanning salon, and I'll work it. I'm like, Dad, listen, people don't want to come into a tanning salon and see a little Italian man behind the counter.
Right.
This is not for you. So he's like, let's open a pizzeria. And that's what we did. We opened up a pizzeria in Lyndhurst. It was called Turano's Pizza, Pasta, and Grill. And we opened up, and then some more bad news. My dad had a stroke about 3 months after we bought it, massive stroke. He survived, but he's not able to work, or he has some partial paralysis, memory loss. So that was it for him. So now I'm stuck with this place. It was brand new, and I said, all right, I got to make this work. And from there on, it just took off. And then I got married. I had my 2 kids. And again, it's a hard life, especially when you're by yourself, 7 days a week, no weekends, no nights, no holidays. I never got to see my family. It was hard. I didn't have any.
You were like, how old? Like, was this like
my 30s.
Yeah, so you're like starting your family. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, I didn't have a brother or sister that wanted to help me. I have a sister, but she's a teacher. She didn't want anything to do with it. So I said, all right. I said, it's time to make another move. So I sold the business. I sold the building, and I did really well. And then from there, I was offered a job down at the port.
Of Newark.
Port Newark.
Wow.
I was supposed to be a crane operator.
Oh, my God. Like with the containers?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I actually had a very close friend, a little older than me, that's what he did for a living. He was a crane operator. He would pick up the crane off the container and drop it on the pier there. And he said, he goes, I'll take you under my wing. He's like, it's a nice job. And I went, but that didn't work either. That didn't work for me.
It's like pizza kept calling your name.
So supposedly, down at the port, like, you can't have ties with any kind of, people that shouldn't be around you, if you know what I mean. Not that I had any type of those ties, but you're guilty just by association.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You can't even,
It's New Jersey. Come on.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
That means
yeah.
everybody's
connected,
guilty.
yeah.
So at that point, one of my employees that used to work for me in Lyndhurst was working at a pizzeria in Verona. And he called me up. He's like, listen, I want to buy this pizzeria. He's like, but I need help. He's like, why don't you come here? He's like, well, we'll go partners, this and that. I said, honestly, I'm waiting for this job. I don't want to, I don't want a partner. I don't want to be involved. I said, but I'll come help you out. I'll give you a hand while I'm waiting to start. And that's what I did. I went in there, and I helped him out. We got the place going right away. And then when the things didn't work out at the port, he's like, do I want you to be my partner? So I said, okay. And then I was there for 5 years. And I didn't like working for anybody. I didn't like having a partner. I needed to be on my own again. So I was living in Florham Park at that time. And I would drive by this pizzeria.
What was it before?
So this was called Ritacos.
Oh, that's right.
So now I'm going to tell you how everything is so weird and connected and all that. Ritacos, this place was opened by the pizzeria that I worked for in high school, the same owner.
Oh, the very first one?
In Nutley, yes. Ritaco Brothers Pizzeria in Nutley.
Oh, my God.
So he decided...
Is that where you're from, Nutley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's good pizza.
Decided,
good pizza in Nutley, too, yeah.
So he opened up here. And I would drive by every day, going to Verona, and I would see it. But the timing was always off because we opened and closed at the same time. So when I would drive by, it'd always be closed. But I knew it was him, and I haven't seen him in maybe like 15 years. So one night I went home. I said, I drove by and I saw a sign in the window, "Business for sale."
Oh, wow!
And I was like, wow. I was like, maybe he wasn't doing well. So I go home and I tell Michelle. I said, Michelle, my wife. I said, I feel bad. I said, my old boss's pizzeria is up for sale. And she's like, you should buy it. She's like, there's nothing good around here. We were living in Florham Park.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. I don't need another another headache.
Like, here I go again, yeah.
I said, I'm good where I am. I said, things are going good there. That morning, I had to go collect the rent at my house in Nutley that I had for rent. I was renting a house. So I pull off the parkway, I go into the Dunkin' Donuts, I open the door, and there he is.
No way.
Yeah, George Ritaco, the owner of this place. So I looked at him and I was like, all right, it's meant to be. I have to buy it. And we just, I went up to him, and I told him, I said, I drive by your place every day. I was like, I saw the sign last night. What's going on? He's like, oh, he goes, Livingston's a tough town. He's like,
We sure are. Yeah.
Livingston's a tough town. He's like, why don't you buy it? I was like, well, if it was tough for you.
I was going to say, Livingston's tough. Why don't you take it on? Yeah.
I said, why should I, But then, I left, we shook hands, whatever. I thought about it during the day. I was like, you know what? I was like, let me just go take a look. And I called him up. I met him here that same night. When you drive by or look at the front of the store, it's very deceiving. It looks like it's so small.
Correct.
When I came in here and he took me through the whole place,
the
humongous.
kitchen is huge.
Yeah, I mean, altogether, it's about 2,700 square feet of workspace that we have here.
Yeah.
When he built it, he didn't want to do tables or dining, which I don't mind. But we did a handshake deal that night, and like 11 days later, I had the keys in my hand.
Oh my God!
And I opened right away. That same day, I went to Restaurant Depot. I bought a bag of flour, some tomatoes, some cheese, and I'm like, let's just see what happens. And instantly, when I opened that door, people started coming in. It was the weirdest thing. And the funny thing is that first week, everybody's coming in. This is a tough town. That's all I would hear, and I'd be like, "Oh my God! Like, what? Why are they like? Why?"
You get such a bad reputation.
But honestly, like, I've had nothing but good experiences with everybody in town. Everybody's been so good to me, and I really mean that. Not just Livingston, like all the surrounding towns. I get people from everywhere. West Orange, Roseland, East Hanover. Summit, Chatham. We deliver to all those areas. People come in here from there, and everybody's good to me. I really got to say that.
You know why, right? You're being shy. I'll tell you why.
I got good pizza.
Number one, you have really good pizza, and number two, you're a really nice guy. So I think that's the combination that works.
I was brought up to be that way. Respect and be good to people, and it comes back to you. I believe that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
So would you say, just going back, I mean, it's such a good story, but if you were going back, so you're a freshman in high school, what was the first thing that they gave you to do in that pizzeria? Do you remember?
Wash dishes. I never forget.
Of course.
At that time, same thing. The whole family worked in the pizzeria. The mother, the father, the three sisters. There was like four brothers. The whole family.
It's the way it used to be.
So the family took a real good liking to me, and was washing dishes there. Then, little by little, I started making salads. And I was interested. That's why I stayed there, because I really enjoyed watching what they did. Like especially in the kitchen. So they moved me up to sandwiches and salads, and I was always watching the cook do his thing until one night, I'll never forget this. It was me, the cook, and another guy. Another dishwasher, because I wasn't washing dishes anymore. I was a salad guy. Never forget, the cook flips out and just walks out of the pizzeria. So now, one of the brothers that owned the place, he's like, "I'm going to teach you how to make the orders as they come in." I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm just a salad guy.
I was like 15 years old at that time. I was like a couple years into this, but I never cooked. I was cutting mozzarella, help make the dough, make sandwiches, salads.
Prepping, yeah.
So, I'll never forget, the first thing that I made, probably the hardest thing in the menu at that time, it's called the soup of the beche. It's like a seafood combination.
Oh my God, that is to deal with all the seafood that goes into it?
So he told me, get this, that. He's like, put some garlic and oil. And I mean, I watched him do it, so I knew, so I just started putting it together. He came, he would come from the front, take a look, okay, and that's how I started. I mean, from there, I really liked what I was doing. Like I had a feeling like this is what I'm going to do.
Like it got you excited. Did you enjoy making pizzas more than you enjoyed making the entrees?
So honestly, I was never really like a full-time pizza guy. Pizzas I would always fill in. I cook.
What's your favorite dish to make?
My favorite dish? I have two favorites. A pasta one is the fusilli Turano, which I named after. It's a homemade fusilli pasta. Now, fusilli is a Calabrese homemade pasta that, the women from Calabria would, make the dough, and they'd have like this like stencil that they would like roll the fusilli
Oh, really?
in.
Yeah. Instead of the machines that we have now.
Right, it's all handmade. So, that's my favorite pasta, the fusilli. And
What goes into what?
So we, I put my little twist to it. We put crumbled sausage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a vodka sauce. Everybody loves vodka sauce. Right?
Everybody loves vodka sauce.
Yeah. But it's got really good flavor. The pasta is just delicious. That's my favorite pasta dish. Then I like seafood. So there's a dish that it's called seafood maracchiata. It's we put like a nice white fillet fish, and there's fresh mussels, clams. We put some shrimp in there, and it's like in a plum tomato, like wine.
Yum.
Not a sauce. It's more like a broth. It's very
light.
Yeah, it's
light.
light.
A light. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
So
those
the
are-
whole menu at Turano's now is that?
So it's my menu. I created. I mean, obviously, I didn't create chicken franchise or chicken fried franchise, but the dishes that you're not gonna see at other places. Those are my creations. Pizzas. So when I had my place in Lyndhurst, I had a full-time pizza man, which was the guy that I was with at Pizza Terminal, Scott. So he was my pizza maker. So I would tell him, today you're going to make this for the counter. So and I would come up with all these like, at that time, all these specialty pies
we're not a thing.
weren't a thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe like somebody had like a buffalo chicken, like that was like a big. But every
Big
day,
idea.
Every day I wanted to come up with like a new
Specialty pie.
specialty pie, and I would just always like put these crazy things on pizza, and some of them worked, some of them didn't.
What didn't work?
At that time, like seafood on a pizza doesn't work.
No.
No. Seafood on a pizza doesn't work.
It's amazing that pasta on pizza works.
You want to know something, Heidi? To this day, and I shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna. I hate making pasta on pizza.
It's like it's
Yeah.
like
But people love it.
hypocritical for some
People
reason.
love it.
Yeah.
Like my mac and cheese pizza
Yeah.
and my penne vodka pizza. Like I can't keep it on the counter long enough. It keeps going. We have to keep making it all day.
Wild.
Yeah.
What
but,
else doesn't work on pizza? I'm curious.
Well, believe it or not, I never thought salad would work on pizza.
And it
But-
does.
But our chicken Caesar pizza it's really good. We put we use we put like sesame crust on it.
Yeah.
So it looks really nice when you're looking at it. And it's delicious.
That Big Mac pizza is salad on pizza.
So
That's
the
a good
Big
one.
Mac pizza, you see that a lot of people trying to make that pie now. I don't care what anybody says. I invented that pizza.
Oh, I like it.
I invented it. And I have the paperwork to prove it. I'll show you my menu, which I still have from 1999. I still have that
Look
menu.
at Dave
And it says-
Turano has the
and it
receipts,
says-
people. He has the
it
receipts.
says Big Mac Pizza. The funny thing is when I opened up here, for the people that have been here, they know I have that big counter with all the pizzas in there. But if you don't know, my thing is we have a huge display and we put about 30 pizzas in there every day, different types of pizza, all specialty pies. Now, before the fire, we had a big counter, and I tried to put as many pizzas in that counter as I did, but I had maybe like 15 to 20 per day. It wasn't as big as the counter is now, the display. But I never forget, when people would come in here for the first time, they'd see like all the pizzas lined up. They're like,
What is going on?
yeah, and they would see like the grandma pizzas, all the square pizzas. They'd be like, "What's a grandma pizza?"
Isn't it funny? Because now it's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, and like nobody really, like everybody that was coming in here like didn't know. And for me, like grandma pies, like that's like a staple in the pizzeria.
So
like-
grandma pie, just because I feel like everyone describes it different, and everyone's like, "What's a grandma pie?" And there's always controversy about it.
It's called a nonna pie or grandma pie because when the Italians immigrated
Yeah, from Italy.
you'd have the mother or the grandmother she was a stay-at-home
Cook.
or house
Yeah.
housemaker, I guess you call it, right?
House executive.
All right. We're gonna use the proper term.
Yeah.
But she would make pizza at home. So she'd make it in
Square.
a square aluminum pan, and it'd be thin crust. and
Thicker around the edges.
that's it.
Yeah.
And not too much cheese. They put a fresh plum tomato sauce on it, and that's it. And it was baked in the oven, and that, it would come out and it's a square rectangle, grandma pie, and that's how it got it. That's how it got its name. And I mean, I remember, like my mother still makes the pizza at home like that.
Wait, you mentioned the fire. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that because I forgot about the fire.
Yeah, the fire. So,
So you bought this. So you bought it in what year? Well, 5 years ago.
It was
2019.
October 2018.
Wow.
October 2018, and then I think the fire was 2020.
Before
2020.
COVID.
Yeah, so it was right after Portnoy from Barstool was here.
I want to get to that too.
Yeah, so it was about 3 weeks after he came in, and I was so upset because, I got this great score.
What was your score?
So he said it was an 8-1, but it could have been an 8-3 if it wasn't so hot and couldn't grab the edges because it was too hot.
Did they give you a heads up that he was coming?
No. So what happened was it was towards not the end of COVID, but, it was close to the end of COVID. So my friend and his wife, they came in. And, that was the first time that they came here and since the beginning of COVID. So it was mid-afternoon. It was a Monday. My pizza guy, Angelo, that's here 6 days a week, Mondays are his day off. So on Mondays, I make pizza. I fill in for him. So that day, my friends come in, Vito and his wife. They go in the front. I make their pizza. And I sit down, because I do that all the time. I like to talk to the customers. I'll go in the front and I'll sit at a table and I'll talk to them. During that time, a phone call comes in. The counter person puts the order through. It was a plain pizza for a guy named Austin. Sends the ticket through, and I'm sitting there talking, and I completely forgot I have to make this pizza. If I was working for somebody, I would have been fired.
Right,
probably,
totally,
right?
yeah.
But, I could get away with it. It's my place. Right?
Yeah.
So I forget to make the guy's pizza, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and my friend Vito and his wife are enjoying their pizza. They're eating. I'm talking to them, and Dave Portnoy comes walking in. I didn't even pay attention to that. That was him.
Yeah.
He walks up to the counter, and he's got his back towards me, and he's looking, and I'm continuing my conversation. And all of a sudden, the guy Vito was like, "You got to be kidding me!" He's like, "Look who it is!" And he turns around, and he looks at me, and he's like, "Hey, Dave." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So I jump out of my seat. I'm like, "Where you been?" I'm like, "I've been waiting for you to get here," And he's like, we ordered a pizza. And I was like,
oh God, it's Austin.
So I go behind the counter and I see the ticket hanging off the printer. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to say to him. I was like, listen, I'm talking to my friend Vito. I'm like, I got sidetracked.
Blame it on Vito.
I was like, I got to make it. And he's like, are you sure the pizza's not in the oven? Because he thought I was trying to remake it.
Yeah.
I opened up all the oven doors. I said, look, there's no pizzas. I said, your ticket is hanging. I was like, who's Austin? He's like, that's my camera guy. And he's like, all right, he's like, you got to make it right away.
How long does the perfect pie take to make?
12 minutes.
So he had to wait 12 minutes.
12 minutes, yeah.
It's a nerve-wracking 12 minutes.
Oh, man. I was making the pie. I was shaking. My hands were shaking. I'm like, oh, my God. But he was really nice, and he stood, we had a whole conversation afterwards. And then we have the fire 3 weeks later. And I was so upset.
What happened?
So upset. Going back to the pizzeria that I worked for when I was in high school, the mother, little Italian lady, she used to walk around the whole pizzeria, wipe everything down. She'd be cooking. And at the end of the night, whatever bread wasn't left, we would just leave it in the bread box. And then in the morning, she would come, she'd open the bread box, and she'd toss it into this cardboard box that'd be sitting on top of the pizza oven. And I never knew what she did with that. I just remember always seeing her do that. But then one day, I found out what the box is for. They make breadcrumbs with it.
Sure, of course.
They dried the bread out on top of the oven.
It's actually brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to, Italians think it's a sin to throw out bread. You know what I mean? So you can't throw the bread out. So, they'd make breadcrumbs with it. So, and I picked that up. And it's something that I've done ever since. Mm-hmm. Every place that I had, put the box on top of the oven, throw the leftover bread in there.
Dries out from the heat of the oven.
So that night, at the fire, every night the pizza guys have to brush down the inside of the oven and clean the whole oven up. And that night there was a little sauce spilled or something on top of the oven, so they wanted to clean the oven, and they pushed the box all the way back to the end of the oven. Mm-hmm. At where they put the box, there's a vent, an exhaust vent on the top of the oven, and the box was pushed over that vent, and they never put it back where it was supposed to, towards the front of the oven. So, we shut the doors, went home, and at 2:00 in the morning, I get the phone call, the alarm system, you get a fire alarm going off. Right away, I went into my phone to check the cameras, and my cameras, no internet. So I knew something was wrong. And by the time I got here, Livingston Fire Department, they were already inside the pizzeria. They had gotten the fire out.
How much damage?
So when I came in, it really didn't look that bad. But what happened was the box caught on fire, and it was on top of the oven. So the flames went up into the ceiling, and this, inside the drop ceiling is where the fire happened, and it, went up into the
wires and
and then the worst thing was the smoke damage. It was mostly smoke damage, not necessarily like the fire. That area, definitely. There was a lot of damage, but it's not like the whole place was engulfed in flames. It was the smoke damage. That was. It was bad. We had to.
How long did it take you to reopen? It was a while, right?
So that morning, I thought, it was going to be like a quick fix. We'll patch up the hole.
Off we go. Yeah.
And like no. So then I had construction people come in and do like, this is like a 6-month job.
Oh my God.
Going 6 months.
Yeah. It's a little smoke.
Yeah. So I said, all right, I called up my cousins. They're in the construction business. And I said, you guys got to come down here and help me out. Like the same day, they ripped everything out. And we started. And I have to say, like the town, like Livingston, anytime I needed an inspection or, like right away, they came for me. They got it done in 6 weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks, yeah. We practically built the pizzeria over in 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But, again, I had a lot of help, a lot of help from the town, a lot of help from family and friends. My sister, it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
It was end of October, November, the holidays are coming. All my workers, they rely on that money for
of course,
Christmas gifts and all that. My sister's like, and I was telling my sister, like, I feel bad, the workers, like, I'm going to try to pay them this and that, which I did.
Yeah.
But she's like, why don't we start a GoFundMe? She's like, you could give that money to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. The good thing is that they all waited for me, to reopen. That was another thing I was worried about.
Remember, you gave them a job during COVID. I mean, a lot of people were laid off, and, you're good to them, they're good to you.
Yeah, and every single employee came back.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Has the all the guys that are in there been there forever?
I got to be honest with you. I know we didn't talk about every single place that I had, but I've had about five stores. I've never been so blessed like I am in this store here. And I mean that in every single way. Starting with my employees, I have such a good crew here.
You do.
That's the most important thing, because you can't do it without them.
No.
So
from the girls up front to the cooks in the back.
Every single one of them. I have to say, like, they're so good to me. The customers.
It's because
everybody.
you're good to them too.
Like I said, I mean, I try to be.
Yeah.
I yell and scream sometimes. Believe it or not.
We all do. Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, it's been great here.
I mean, you've in 5 years, which on one hand sounds like a long time. On one hand, coming from this town is not very long at all, but you immersed yourself into this community very nicely.
This is my strongest store that I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, you get involved. Yeah. When the schools are doing fundraisers, when
you have to do that.
But not everybody does. That's how you become part of the community.
Listen, I really I do it like I want to help. I want to help out.
What is it with New Jersey and pizza? What makes New Jersey pizza like so good. I don't understand. And Essex County, for some reason, we seem to have this like pocket of amazing pizza.
So everybody thinks it's the water, you know.
That's what they say about the bagels too.
So honestly, definitely has something to do with water, like the hardness of the water. I personally think it's the people that are behind it, you know, like culture. You know, I'm Italian. I grew up eating Italian food. You know, I mean, like I said, my grandmother used to make, my mother still makes the pizza at home. So I know what it's supposed to look like. I know what the texture is supposed to be like. I know what it's supposed to taste like. You know, now if I were to go open maybe like a Greek restaurant,
Yeah.
I'm not Greek.
Yep.
Could I probably duplicate it and make it? Yeah. But I think, you know, it's the culture. You know, I think that's what's behind it.
That's so interesting because, you know, a lot of the Jews and a lot of the Italians immigrated to Newark
Yeah.
and then came into Jersey. And that's a very good point, I think.
So
Do you have, this doesn't have to be in here, but a ghost kitchen?
I do.
Because my
We
daughter,
have about five different ghost kitchens going on right now.
there's the pasta one.
It's called Pasta Glory.
Yes, that's that. Because we're like, where is it? And we look it up, and then I'm like, it's because she
there's-
loves the
There's
gnocchi.
Yeah, there's Pasta Glory. We do Philly fresh cheesesteaks. I have the other one. It's called Freaking Good Pizza, Brooklyn Calzones, and then we also had a salad one, but I didn't want to do the salad one. There's salad places in town.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Let
wanna,
them do their thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the point of a ghost kitchen though for you? Like what? I don't.
It's just more revenue.
Oh.
So you know,
Does Pasta Glory get a lot of activity?
it does.
Yeah.
It does. You know, it's at a discounted price.
Yeah.
You know, we give a smaller portion. Obviously, we're not going to give the same portion as, but people know that. You know, they know what they're going to order. They know what they're going to get, and the ghost kitchens. What's good about them is that they're on the online apps. Let's say like DoorDash,
Yeah.
Uber Eats, Grubhub, all that.
So
Listen,
for people who haven't tried your pizza, which I think is weird, I'm just gonna say it. Your bestseller pizzas, right? Razor pie, which is the
it's a regular cheese pizza. It's a very thin crust. The sauce and cheese is like all the way up to the edge. It like runs over the side of the pizza.
It's my
and
favorite.
Caramelizes a little bit.
your cauliflower pizza is also delicious.
Our cauliflower is a great seller. I believe it or not, I eat it myself. It's gluten free, and I'm not celiac. I just love the way it tastes.
Do you make the crust here?
No, so
Yeah.
I don't make the crust. I can. I know how, but it's gluten free, so I get nervous with the crust contamination.
Yeah, I respect
Because
that. Yeah.
you know, I only have one mixing bowl to make the dough.
What are the other bestsellers? Your grandma pie, obviously.
Grandma pie is, you know, one of my my biggest sellers here as far as pizza. But actually, like all our grandma style pizzas, you know, like with the different toppings, they're all, especially the one with the pepperoni cups. That's called the Dante's
Oh, yeah.
Dante's pie. Then we have the Dante's Inferno, which is basically the same pizza, but we add hot cherry peppers. It's spicy with the Fra Diavolo sauce. That's a good one.
2 final questions for you. One, if you could go back to that 13-year-old Dave Turano, what would you tell yourself now?
Don't open a pizzeria. No. Listen, I love what I do. I'm happy. I'm very happy. And the hardest part is the family life, you
Yeah.
know, because, you know, I have a family. I have kids. I have 3 kids. I have a wife. And it's hard because, you know, I'm here 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Do I go home, you know, for a few hours every day? Yeah, I go home, you know, come back, clear my head a little bit, see my kids, you know. But, you know, can we, you know,
Go away for a
go to the-
weekend.
can we go away for the no? Simple thing. Go Christmas shopping at the mall. No, I'm too busy at that time.
Yeah.
You know, like things like that. That's the hard part. But I'm lucky that I have a beautiful wife that understands. She gets it. I thank God every morning for everything because I've been blessed. Ever since I've been here, I've been blessed. I'm very happy.
I'm happy for you. My last final question for you is 5 years here. What is your goal for the next
Goal-
5 years?
My goal would be to like retire next year, but that's not gonna happen. I gotta have my health and be able to work. As long as I have that, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere.
Good.
I'm staying in
Good.
Livingston.
We need you here.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
And people ask me, when you're going to open or move or this and that. I'm not.
That's good.
I don't want a bigger place. I'm happy with where I am. I don't want to open another place because I don't need it.
So really, in 5 years, you just hope to be right where you are right now.
I'm staying here.
Yeah, good.
Yep, I'm staying.
I like it.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You
Thank
did
you for
really,
coming here.
really well for your first podcast.
Okay.
I'm sure this is the first of many. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
you
I
for
wish
coming.
you tremendous success for the
Thank
next
you.
5 years. And I'm so glad you're part of this town.
Thank you. I love being here.
Good. Thanks, Dave. If you are hearing this message, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm truly grateful for you and this opportunity. The purpose of the Behind the Counter podcast is to bring food, people, and community together. I hope you'll return for more episodes and explore with me. I want to personally thank Fran Linnell of Design 68 for my amazing Behind the Counter podcast logo, and Travis Lohenberg for my awesome Behind the Counter music, and all the guests that take their time to sit and talk with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you hear your podcasts. If you'd like to support the Behind the Counter podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends and family, and you can follow me on Instagram at Heidi Blum. If you have any feedback or stories that you want to share, you can email me at foodsarbtc@gmail.com.